All right. Okay. And we are live. Hi, Tania.
Hi, Rena.
How are you, Tania?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. How was your day so far?
My day's been going good. I'm just coming back from work, and the kids are gone with my husband in the park, so I thought it was a great time to speak with you.
Perfect. So, Tania, why don't you let everybody know a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how we met?
So I am from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. I am a registered nurse by trade. I work in hospice. Um, I'm an introspective hypnosis practitioner, and I'm a Reiki master. And me and Rena met last year, April 2019, in an introspective hypnosis course in North Carolina with Antonio Sangio and Alba Wine.
Perfect. And so I did a session on Tania, I believe it was last June. I think, gosh, it's been so long. So I know I'm going to probably ask you some questions. So let's see if I can sort of jog your memory here. So I remember when we first connected, you wanted to sort of know a little bit about your spirit guides, I think, and you wanted to know about past lives. Is that correct?
Yes. So I wanted to find out who my main guides were, because I feel a male energy around me, a strong male presence around me. I wanted to know more about my past lives, because I only had, I think, one past life regression before you. And then I wanted to know more about plant medicine and more about ways to heal my gut, because I have gut issues.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. So how do you remember, I know this was a while back, but if you can kind of gauge how you were feeling prior to the session?
I don't think I think maybe I was a little hesitant because I hadn't done it online before, and I think that was our first time doing it online. I know I knew it was possible, but we hadn't done it before.
That's right.
But I knew if me and you would do it, it would happen together and it would be natural. So I was trusting that it would happen naturally with me.
And it did. It happened really natural, because I remember even because it was my first session facilitating online. So I was like, I hope this works, and it did. And actually, you sort of went under straight away. Like, you went into trance straight away. I was actually pretty surprised. So do you recall the first thing you saw when you did go under?
I did. I remember usually, when you're doing a hypnosis, you go to a favorite landscape, and I didn't. I went into the Akashic Records, into my library of past lives.
Yes. And I think, is that where you met your spirit guide? I think his name was Chief.
Yes, so I met my main spirit guide, who I identify him and he identifies himself as well as Chief. I think because apparently he's like a Indian chief, a big guy who protects me, and he took me down a hallway, and we were just kind of opening books, and straight away we went into a past life. Like, he was showing me pictures and different lives, and I pointed to one, and I went into a past life right away.
Yeah, and so with Chief, you were saying that he's your Indian guide. So you mean like Native Indian, like First Nations, right?
Yeah, like Native American.
And so what I wanted to ask you was, did you actually see him? Could you feel his energy? Tell me, did you hear him? What? Yeah.
I can see, he wasn't really talking. And it's so funny because I'm not very visual. I'm more like a feeler in a hypnosis, but I was very visual that time. And I can see him, and with the whole, with the feathers and the colors, and I can feel his presence, because he has a very big presence about him. And he was just kind of guiding me and pointing to certain things. And we were able to connect, like maybe telepathically.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, with thoughts.
Wow. And so were you afraid? Because, I mean, was this the first time you saw a vision of Chief, or how did you feel? Were you scared, or were you kind of like, who is this? Or did you kind of have this inner knowing that straight away that's my guide? Like, I know this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had an inner knowing. I had seen him and felt him before. And he has spoken to me before in my mind. So I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. Very comforting, very calm, energy that he has about him. So no, I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. I kind of just had an inner knowing and trusting that he was guiding me in the right direction.
Perfect. And I think I started asking him questions right away. Before we do the hypnosis, the actual induction and getting my client into trance, we always do a little interview of questions, and I always ask the client, do you have any questions if we do connect with your higher self or with your guides or like a deceased loved one? Is there anything you want to know? And so Tania prior had given me a list of questions, and so I was asking. Some of them were personal, so we're not going to talk about those today, but some of them were about I think about diet, and you were wondering about plant medicine, and I think he did sort of give some guidance. Do you remember that at all? Or
I think he spoke to me about my diet, about which I already had an inkling about, because he does talk to me even though I'm not really listening. I wasn't listening to him.
You were connected, yeah.
But I feel that when I eat certain things and it doesn't digest well in my body, I know that I'm getting messages. Obviously, your body gives you signals.
Yes.
So, and especially as a nurse, what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you. So he basically just confirmed that I need to change my diet. I need to go more plant-based. I need to eat less meat, and probably go altogether without meat. Meat is not good for me. Meat is not good for my gut. And to raise my vibration, I need to eat more plants.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I do remember him saying that. And then I think after the session when we talked about it, you were like, yeah, this is just validation, because you kind of already knew. I mean, you're a nurse, so you've got the health background, and you did have issues with your gut prior, right? So you kind of knew that maybe this is sort of the direction you wanted to go, but you weren't sure. So you received the validation from your guide chief. So that's perfect. Something else that was really interesting that came through was your past life. I think that was probably the most amazing part, because even my face, I was kind of shocked. So do you mind talking a little bit about that?
It was shocking.
I was shocked. I'm very expressive, so Tania knows this.
But we were both shocked.
We're both shocked.
I'm glad it was recorded.
Yeah, me too.
Because I was apparently I think I was a plant medicine woman, and I was working. Was I a plant medicine woman? Or I was working on a grid on the earth.
On a crystal grid, I remember. Yeah.
Yes. I was living on the outskirts of a town, and when you asked me to look at my skin color, I remember I bust out laughing, and I'm like, I'm white, like I couldn't believe it, because obviously I'm brown.
Yeah.
I'm brown skin, obviously.
You're from Dominican Republic, right?
Yes, I'm Spanish.
Yeah.
So it was so crazy to me, and it just validates everyone, all of us, that you've been every color, every race, you've been everything.
Yeah.
So it just validates us that we're all one.
Yes, we are.
So that past life just showed me, like, wow, you have been everything at every moment, at every time, and you're gathering up all your lessons to kind of continue on your journey. So in that past life, I believe we discussed that my lesson was, speak your truth, even if you have to die for it, something like that. Like, I was working on, I think it was making the grid for Gaia's Ascension.
Yes.
And then the town,
yeah.
No, I'm sorry. The town people were not happy with that. They thought I was a witch, and they came to get me, and they killed me.
But I was going to say, the whole idea of witch, what is a witch anyways? It has such a negative connotation, but, a witch isn't bad. I think it's culturally, society, when you think of Halloween, you look at movies and they portray witches as bad, but witches can be good. And in this case, they called you a witch, but you were working for Mother Earth. You were working for Gaia. You were trying to raise the vibration. And I remember there was a point where they were coming after you. Weren't they running after you? You were
Yeah.
freaked out. I remember you were like, your voice was shaking. Actually, what I'm going to do for everybody out there that's tuning in, I'm going to link the link for Tania's hypnosis session with her permission. If she gives me permission, I will link that so everyone can kind of view a bit of it. I probably won't put the whole thing on, but I'll definitely put for sure. In her life, her name was Priscilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will link that with this IG video and on YouTube. But yeah, so do you remember that moment when you were like, they were actually chasing you? Like your voice was shaking.
Yeah, I think I was about to like break down, freak out, and cry, and like bawl my eyes out. And I know you took me out of that to kind of like calm me down. But I felt it, like it was real. I was there.
Yeah,
it felt very real to me.
Yeah, I mean, I could hear it, the emotion in your voice, the panic. And you said they're gonna kill me. And then what I did was I ended up taking her to the last day of her death, and ultimately what happened, they did.
Yeah, I was burned.
She was burned. Yeah. And then, so, for people tuning in, a lot of the times these past lives can be quite traumatic, and we do take clients to the last day, the day of their death, and it can be quite traumatic. However, we have the skills and we've got techniques to take you out of that sort of traumatic memory, and then we go after, and the whole point of this is to find out the purpose and the lessons. And so what was Priscilla's lesson, and how was she connected to you, Tania?
I think the lesson was just to kind of stand in my power, and even though things might get hard, always stand in your truth. I mean, I think hers was a little bit drastic. She had to die for her truth. Yeah. Maybe mine in my life is not so dramatic, but stand in your truth, stand in your power, hold your own. Even though people might not agree with you, you still have to push forward.
Absolutely. And do you feel like that has been true for your life or parts of your life?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Especially when you're on a spiritual journey, a lot of people don't get you, and you lose friends and family members, and our community is small.
It's true. It's growing though.
Yeah, it's growing. Thank God.
I think that it's growing, that more and more people are getting woke. So this is good. Another thing that we're not going to talk too much about because it was private, but a deceased loved one did come through, and we're not going to say who and give details, but they came through and they gave you a message, which was comforting for somebody that you are close with. Yeah.
So the message was, I don't think it was for me per se, but more for my significant other. But I mean, I guess us combined as a couple and as a family, that, you guys are doing okay, you guys are doing good, and, that he approved of how we were doing, I guess, in life, and to push forward.
Yeah. So that was kind of a shock a little bit, because I don't even think that was discussed, pre-entry or pre-session. It just kind of came out of nowhere. So were you surprised as well?
I was surprised, yeah, because I think people have been trying to, maybe other family members have been trying to reach out, and he has been quiet. So for me, that's kind of a little bit removed, but connected, via significant other, it was a little shocking.
Yeah, yeah. But good shocking, I guess, because you get that message of comfort and validation. So that's good. And then the last thing that, just before we sort of end here, I wanted to ask you about the attachment removal that we did. So Tania had I think it was an attachment in her head. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, just briefly?
Apparently, I'm a person that holds a lot of energy in my head. That I'm not able to release. I know this is not the first time it's come up. I know I have certain techniques that I do and I'm supposed to do it, and I'm not doing them, unfortunately. But it did come up in the session that I do hold my energy in my head, and that obviously it doesn't belong there, and then it needed to be removed. and it didn't want to be there either. Apparently.
That's right. I think it said the attachment said it felt trapped. And but what was really incredible that came through was somebody really, like an ascended master, came through. Do you want to say who that was and what they did? Archangel Michael. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so yes, Archangel Michael, and I think in conjunction with Chief, I want to say,
Yes.
came through with his blazing sword and blasted me with a light. And Chief came through to give me, I want to say, golden light as well, to kind of like disperse the energy out back into the universe, so I can have a clear head.
And so for everyone that's out there that's wondering, you know, because I've talked about attachments in some of my other videos that I've done, but basically an attachment is an external energy source that comes in to your energetic field and attaches. So sometimes it attaches to a body part, sometimes it attaches to most often what I've noticed, and maybe Tania, you could agree, is they attach to a chakra. You know, so whether it's your crown chakra, throat chakra, heart, root, sacral, solar plexus, they do attach. And oftentimes they don't have permission, but in some cases, you know, if there's something that very traumatic happens, or there's a tragedy, or an illness or an accident, the attachments sort of can get in. Another way that I'm not really too vocal on, but I'm going to probably talk about in another video soon, is when we open up our channels. So when people drink a lot, when people take drugs, certain drugs, when you engage in sex, so anything that kind of will open you up, open your energetic channels, it gives other energies, entities, attachments to come through. And it's not always a bad thing. Half the time, these attachments don't even want to be there. They almost feel like they don't want to be there. And other times, attachments come through because they feel like they have purpose. But in this case, the attachment in Tania's head did not want to be there. And so we used the help of Archangel Michael, which was really, really amazing for me to experience as well and to be part of. So how do you feel after that removal, that attachment removal? Do you feel like there's still residual energy?
I don't know. It's hard to tell because I've struggled with that issue for a while now, since I've become spiritually open and spiritually awake. I tend to kind of not release my energy well. So I still kind of struggle with it a little bit. It's gotten better. Like I used to suffer every day from migraines. It was so bad. If I have one once a week, it's a lot, or maybe once a month. So it's gotten better. I'm using the techniques that were shown to me by my guides to kind of release it. But sometimes I forget, of course, you know, busy mom life, work life, wife life. So I do forget, but it's gotten much better.
Okay. And pre-session to post-session, have the migraines decreased?
Okay. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, perfect. 100%. Excellent. And out of the entire experience, what would you say was the most surprising, and what would you say you learned about yourself, or just in general? The takeaway lesson, I guess.
Surprising? I think how I just went into my Akashic Records so quickly, how it's so easily accessible. I guess with the right person, the right guide, and the right connection with your, you know, practitioner. And what was the second question? I'm sorry.
I would say, like, I was sort of asking, out of the entire, so with the whole session that I facilitated for you, what would you say the biggest lesson was, or the takeaway?
Oh, the biggest lesson. I think the biggest lesson, and it's just overall, that all the answers are all inside us. You know, you just have to tap in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all inside us. You don't have to even look too far. You know, grab your practitioner and head on your journey, and get your answers. I could recommend Rena to everyone. Please book her. She's amazing. And don't be afraid. You know, a lot of people are afraid of hypnosis. Don't be afraid.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tania. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for sharing your experience and helping me educate, because Tania is also a hypnosis practitioner. Did you want to quickly just, I guess what I'll do is I'll link Tania's information. I think she's got to go. It looks like
yes, I have someone at the door. I'm sorry. I love you
so much. And we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.